Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with the most important recording projects ever. Now, this is actually the continuation of one we have already sort of started to talk about, because I really felt that this particular thing here in Supraphon's Dvořák edition, it's not his complete works, because he wrote tons and tons of music, and not everything's even been recorded, actually, some of the operas and whatnot in all their various versions. But the string quartets with the Pinocchio Quartet, this was such a wonderful, wonderful box. And I thought, we might as well do the whole thing, shouldn't we? So in addition to this, we have these as part of the Supraphon Dvořák edition. There are 7 boxes in all, and they're very nicely put together. So I thought I'd tell you about it because they're still available, at least as far as I know, and they're not expensive. And, and Supraphon is such a wonderful label, and there's some real treasures in here, absolutely marvelous things. Let me just sort of put this together here. What is going on over there? I have no idea. There's a cat doing something. All right, so let's just start with, here we are, the famous piano works with Radoslav Kvapil on 4 CDs. This is the complete piano works. This is kind of a famous recording. It has, at one point, little birds tweeting in the background because they were in the studio or something like that. But, Dvořák's piano music is horribly underrated, like so much by Dvořák. And there's some wonderful works here, including the poetic tone pictures, or poetic moods as they're called here, a 53-minute major piano work. It's a big, big sucker. And, the suite in A major, which he orchestrated, is the American suite, and the humoresques, which are sort of proto-jazz / ragtime studies. They're fascinating. Really, really beautiful works. So, and then a lot of dance pieces and character pieces and stuff like that. But, it's fun music and charming. And so that's worth having. Then we have, let's see, what's this? Sacred Works and Cantatas. Now, this is what was available. And even in the Czech lands, Dvořák's larger, works, or vocal works, haven't gotten much play, particularly his oratorios. Saint Ludmila, which is a big sucker. It usually gets performed with cuts and things like that. Dvořák himself actually arranged it as an opera at one point, so there are different versions. It's a whole mess. But there are some incredibly fabulous pieces here, which a lot of you know, because we've talked about them. First, there's the Stabat Mater. Well, let's see who's doing what, because these are important performances. They really are. Wait a minute. Of course, the key is to open the little boxy thing here. Doesn't want to open. It's like, there we go. There it is. Let's see what we got here. First, the Stabat Mater is Jiří Bělohlavek's recording with Eva Urbanova and Maria, well, am I even going to try this? Marta Benachkova and John Uhlenhop and Peter Mikuláš. With the Prague Symphony Orchestra. These are all good performances, by the way. I don't think there are any bad performances of the Stabat Mater. It's a masterpiece and really moving. The Te Deum, which is just tons of fun. Oh my God, it's fun. It's incredibly fun. This is the Smetacek performance, or Smetacek, as they say over there, sort of, kind of. And actually, there's a digital one, too, with Václav Neumann, which is extremely good. The Te Deum is so much fun. It's marvelous. It's one of the 4 great Te Deum settings from the 19th century, and the least well-known. The others, of course, are Berlioz, Verdi, and Bruckner. Those are the other 3. But Dvořák's up there. The Mass in D, which is beautiful little work. The Biblical Songs. These are all their orchestral versions, which is just terrific. Then we've got the Requiem, and the Requiem is the Wolfgang Sawallisch recording. There is, of course, the classic Karl Antril recording, which is in the Antril edition. But having Sawallisch do it is a very good performance. The Psalm 149 and the Airs of the White Mountains with Václav Neumann and Zdeněk Kozla, respectively. And then Saint Ludmila. Saint Ludmila is with Smetacek again, and a bunch of soloists. And then the Spectre's Bride with Bělohlavek. I love the Spectre's Bride. We really need a really hot performance of it. I don't think it's had its greatest performance yet. The story is the same as Leonora. Leonora, like Raff's symphony. The girl who whose dead boyfriend comes to pick her up and take her to the graveyard with him. And in this case, she's saved at the last minute by a timely prayer to the Virgin Mary. And then there are the biblical songs for voice and piano with Drahomira Drobkova. And let's see, and other beautiful little works that you probably don't know. The Ave Maristella and O Sanctissima and Ave Maria and the hymns ad laudes in Festivo Sanctissimo Trinitatis for alto and organ. Rather nifty stuff. And, they really ought to make some modern recordings of some of these things because they are absolutely lovely. Anyway, there's that. Then we've got, let's see, lots of chamber works. Oh my, chamber. Fabulous chamber works. So we've got this is chamber works 2. So let's do chamber works 1 first. String quintets and sextets, and piano quartets and quintets. We've already talked about the string quartets with the Pinoca Quartet, and these recordings are just as fabulous because they also feature the Pinoca Quartet. Let's see, what have we got here? The string quintets 1 and 3 with the Pinoca Quartet. Number 2 is the one with the double bass. There it is. And that one is with the Pinoca Quartet and friends, and the sextet, that's in here, and a couple intermezzi, smaller movements. Actually, the intermezzo is the nocturne for 2 violins, viola, cello, and double bass, which is the original slow movement of the 4th quartet, which later became the nocturne for strings. It's a gorgeous thing. And then we've got, let's see, the piano quintets. Piano quintets are with Jan Panenka and the Pinoca Quartet. Yes. And then we've got what are these things? We have the piano quintets, the piano quartets, right? Those are the piano quintets. The piano quartets are with one is with the Pinoca Quartet and the other is with the Suk Trio. I mean, it doesn't really get any better than these. So you're in fabulous shape for Chamber Music Part 1. Chamber Music Part 2. Oh, there's some really interesting little pieces, adorable little pieces that I just love here. So Chamber Music Part 2 gets you the trios with the Guarnieri Trio, and they're very, very fine performances from 1997. Of course, the famous Dvořák Trio thing is, I know I have them, right? I have them here. I do. I know I do. Wait, there they are. Where are they? There we go. Ta-da! The Suk Trio. Yeah, super duper hot. These are also on Denon in stereo. I mean, in digital or whatever, but they had a licensing deal with Supraphon. Denon did. So there's that. But then we've got the Guarnieri Trio doing them, and they do them very, very well. Let's not kid ourselves. And some short pieces, some really odd little pieces. The Capriccio for violin and piano, the Romance for violin and piano in F minor, which was orchestrated, of course, the Ballad for violin and piano, the Nocturne for violin and piano. Let's see, the Mazurek for violin and piano. There's the Violin Sonata in F major, his only one, and this is it's got to be with Josef Suk, and Pavel Sporchel is doing some of this stuff, CD3. Yeah, Josef Suk is doing some of these other goodies. He does that, yes. He does those. And then there are the romantic pieces for violin and piano, the Sonatina for violin and piano. Then there's some arrangements of Slavonic dances for various things, Silent Woods and the Rondo for cello and piano. Then on CD5, the Bagatelles for 2 violins, cello, and harmonium, one of the most beautiful little works in the universe. And the Terzet for 2 violins and viola. It's a masterpiece. Even Tovey said it was a masterpiece. An extraordinary work for an extraordinary ensemble. Miniatures for 2 violins and viola, which became the romantic pieces in another incarnation. And then there is this delicious serenade for flute, violin, viola, and triangle. I mean, who ever heard of that little sucker? It's only 3 minutes and 32 seconds, but it's delicious. Then you got a couple waltzes, and let's see, Josef Suk, pronounce it however you want, is involved, the Pinoca Quartet. All these fun people are doing it. Then we have the Slavonic dances for piano 4 hands, and From the Bohemian Forest for piano 4 hands, and the Legends for piano 4 hands. Yay! 4-hand music's marvelous. It's great to hear the music in those versions. So these 2 boxes of chamber music are really extraordinarily fabulous. And then we have the orchestral stuff. Ooh, two gigantic, juicy boxes of orchestral stuff. Let's see who's doing what. There's some really fine things that you can't get anywhere else in here. Performances, that is. So, the Slavonic dances, the Czech Phil with Václav Neumann from '86. The digital ones, very, very good. They're really, really good. The Slavonic Rhapsodies and Hero Song with Bohumil Gregor. The Slavonic Rhapsodies are totally underplayed. Why doesn't anyone ever do them? They're delicious. Wonderful. Gregor was a sort of stiff conductor, but it's okay. He gets through them. The Legends and the Scherzo Capriccioso, and My Home and the Hussite Overture with Charles Mackerras doing the Legends and the Scherzo Capriccioso. Yeah. And then the other two, the My Home and the Hussite, are Václav Neumann. Then we have the Czech Suite, the Festival March, the Prague Waltzes, the Polka for Prague students, and the Polonaise in E flat, and the American Suite. Now let's see, these are with the Prague Philharmonia under Jakub Hruša. That's a fairly new recording. And the Prague Symphony under Bělohlavek. He's only doing tracks 6, 7, and 8. What are those? 6. Oh, they're just little pieces. All the rest is Jakub Hruša. Okay, the Serenades for winds and for strings with, let's see, Jakub Hruša and that stuff. And the Nocturne, which was the slow movement of the 4th-string quartet that I just talked about with Václav Neumann. Then we have the first cello concerto, which had to be orchestrated by Jarmil Berghauser. Believe it or not, there is a first cello concerto. It's early work from 1865, and it's quite lovely. It's a very nice piece. And the piano concerto. So you have Miklos Sadlo cello, and Ivan Moravec is playing the piano in the piano concerto. He always used the alternate edition. It was Silati or whoever did it, the revised, not Dvořák edition. I had a conversation with him about that, and I just looked at him. I said, "Why don't you play the original?" And he gave me this pained look. I was like, "Ooh!" It's a beautiful performance. The Romance in F minor for violin, the Mazurek for violin, the Concerto for violin. Václav Hudacek. Hudacek is doing the Romance in the Mazurek, but the violin concerto is the famous, it's Josef Suk with Neumann, as opposed to Josef Suk with Ancherl, which was my référence recording. Then we've got Silent Woods for cello and orchestra, the Rondo for cello and orchestra, and the big cello concerto with Miklos Sadlo and the Czech Philharmonic Václav Neumann. Very beautiful performances. So orchestral works. That's it. That's it. Is that all that's in here? Yes. Oh, it's orchestral works and concertos. Okay, so there we go. And serenades and goodies. All right, so that's that. That's that box. Yes, that's that box. And then we have, last but not least, symphonic works as opposed to orchestral works, whatever that means. And in here, we're going to find so many juicy goodies. Now, this is not the complete orchestral music. I mean, there are overtures and other strange things that aren't in here. The early Rhapsody, and So, there could have been more. But like I said, even in the Czech lands, Dvořák is not known for his complete works, which I find shocking. We need a really, really complete Dvořák edition. All right, so we have the symphonies. The symphonies, these performances are really important. This is the Czech Philharmonic under Neumann doing the analog symphony cycle, and they are beautiful performances. The digital ones are very good too. But I think the sonics are actually better in these analog performances, and the performances are just as good. The playing is wonderful. It's a great Dvořák cycle, which everybody should hear. And what else have we got in here? Is that all that's in here? Just the symphonies? No, we have the symphonic poems. I knew we had them. It must be the last disc here. CD 8 gives you the symphonic poems. I have to check this out. Yes, there they are. With the Czech Phil and Neumann. These are also really good performances, really good performances, not very well known. And they squish them all onto one disc. Well, the 4, major tone poems. They're very exciting. And then we have the concert overtures are in here too. That's In Nature's Realm, Carnival, and Othello, which are really fine. And we have the symphonic variations. Those got slotted in. Yeah, and this is all Czech Phil and Neumann. So they're really fine, and that's this box. It's a really important box. If you're a Dvořák person and you've been collecting Dvořák symphonies and you've heard about like the stereo, not digital Neumann cycle, this is where it is. And it really matters. So there you have it. All 7 beautiful boxes. Really, the performances are just superior throughout this set for the most part. Very, very, very few exceptions. And, the engineering is fine, and the music is, of course, amazing. And if you're a Dvořák person, this is like essential stuff. It really is. This is the basis, the core of your Dvořák collection, and everything else flows from that if you are a serious Dvořák collector. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me for this version of the most important recording projects ever. And I'm not kidding. Take care.